Rude neighbor cut down a tree without permission, but was shocked when the government knocked on the door. Mark loved the big juniper tree in his yard. It gave shade, beauty, and had always been there. But his neighbor Henrik hated it. Leaves and berries often fell into Henrik's yard, and he was tired of cleaning them up. He had complained many times, but Mark warned him the tree was protected and should not be touched. One day, Mark was at work when his wife called him. "He's doing it," she said. Mark's heart sank. He rushed home, but he arrived too late. The tree had been cut down. Mark stood in shock. But when Henrik learned why this tree was special, it was too late. The government was already in front of his door. He picked up his phone and made a call he hoped he'd never have to make. "My neighbor did it," he said. Mark waited at home. He stood quietly in his yard, staring at the place where his tree used to be. The juniper tree wasn't just any tree. It was protected by law. Mark had warned his neighbor Henrik many times not to cut it down. He had even explained that the tree was special. But Henrik didn't listen. What Henrik did was more than rude. It was illegal. Mark knew the law. Henrik didn't, but he was about to find out. Soon, a black car pulled up outside Mark's house. Government officials stepped out. They had come to see what happened. Mark met them at the front yard and told them everything. He explained how the tree had been there for years. He told them he had warned Henrik again and again. They took notes and asked questions. While they talked, Henrik stood on his porch, frowning. One of the officials walked up to Henrik. He asked calmly, "Do you know what kind of tree you cut down?" Henrik shook his head. "No, I don't." The man explained that it was a juniper tree, an endangered and protected species. Henrik's face turned pale. Henrik tried to explain. He said he was just tired of the leaves and berries falling into his yard. He said he only wanted peace. But it didn't matter. The law had been broken. The official told Henrik he had two choices. He could pay a very large fine or do 8 hours of community service every week. Henrik chose the community service. At first, he didn't like it. He had to clean parks, pick up trash, and help at local places. But after a while, something changed. He started learning about trees and nature. He learned why the juniper tree was important and why it had to be protected. One Saturday morning, Henrik walked over to Mark's house. He looked him in the eye and said, "I'm sorry." Mark was surprised, but he accepted the apology. As time passed, the two men began talking more. They even planted a new tree together. It wasn't the same, but it was a new beginning. What started as a big fight turned into something better. Henrik and Mark became friends. They worked together to make their neighborhood a cleaner and greener place. The tree that caused the fight was gone, but the lessons stayed. And in the end, something good grew in its place.